AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR. We are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing, live today from Marucci's Hitter's House on Seagan. Matt Alondra, we are here on site. Musso and Paulie are back in studio, and we got a ton to do over the course of the show today. Kendall Rogers, bottom of this hour. We'll talk to John Talty next hour as well. Combine's going on. Jay Johnson met with reporters as LSU's getting set for their weekend series at the Box. Ton to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Days that we lead here with LSU basketball this season anyway, few and far between, but this is one where it's relevant for a couple of reasons. Tigers beat Ole Miss in double overtime on Wednesday night, and that is delicious just to see Ole Miss lose again. Hat tip to the LSU basketball Twitter account, whoever's running it, their post with the score graphic said "spot the ball," obviously a Lane Kiffin reference. So love to see LSU trolling Ole Miss in all the ways that they do. A double overtime win snapped a 5-game losing streak for the basketball Tigers, but let's just be honest here. I mean, they are playing out the string. They've got 3 games to go. They can beat Oklahoma. I'm not so sure that I think they're going to beat either Auburn or Texas A&M, so maybe they got one more in them. And this season will come to a conclusion at some point in the very near future here within the next couple of weeks, and then LSU will have a decision to make about what will happen in the future. Max McKinnon was really good in Oxford last night. The Tigers were not very good for the bulk of the game, but made a late push. They outscored Ole Miss by 7 in overtime, 24-17. And despite trailing for the majority of the game, LSU ended up making enough plays in double overtime to outlast, to outlast Ole Miss and win that game 106-99. So Tigers get their 3rd league win, and it's interesting because the game itself isn't the storyline. This is a bad team that's not going to the postseason, and they're playing out the string. But this becomes relevant because Matt McMahon's future is going to be a really front and center talking point here in the next couple of weeks and beyond. And one of the things that we've talked about here, and I've told you, is there is no consensus on Matt McMahon's future. There are some who might assume because they're not very good, and the investment they made in this roster, and they made a big investment in this roster, close to $9 million, that LSU is likely, as a result, would move on. And it would stand to reason, if we're just talking about results, that would be the case. But I'm here to tell you that, and I've said, that's not a consensus point of view, and that certainly has not been determined. We had Verge Osbury on the show a little more than a week ago. He said a decision had not been made about Matt McMahon's future. And then today, you all might have seen a screenshot of this and tweeted it. And I know we have it written up at LouisianaSports.net as well. EJ Kuiper, who's the president and CEO of the FMOL Health System, on his Instagram story this morning, posted a photo of Matt McMahon, and the caption read, "LSU men's basketball beat Ole Miss in Oxford. Matt McMahon is a good coach. Took over a program that was in shambles and had to deal with key injuries all season long. He deserves another chance." So, it would be one thing if that was just a one-off random fan sentiment, make no mistake, the president and CEO of the FMOL health system giving that opinion is not a one-off random fan sentiment. Our Lady of the Lake and by extension FMOL health system, which is a $4.5 billion health system, is LSU's single largest corporate partner. I'll remind you that when Verge Osbury was introduced as the interim athletic director after Scott Woodward was fired, after LSU and Scott Woodward mutually agreed to part ways, he was fired. I don't care what the paperwork says. Verge announced the committee to hire a football coach, the search committee. And it was Scott Ballard and John Carmouche, and Verge was on it, and Ben Bordelon, and E.J. Kuiper. So the person we're talking about here was on the 6-person committee, and then Wade Roos, of course, the new president, ended up joining the committee as well. But all that to say, this is someone whose voice carries a lot of weight. And be it because of the competitive nature or coaching ability or whatever you want to say, certainly finances play a major role in this. And it's the thing I've told you over and over and over again. Whether you know it, believe it, want to believe it, dispute it, it really doesn't matter. I'm telling you this is a fact. Finances will absolutely factor in as heavy, if not heavier than anything else in the decision about Matt McMahon. And it has been a really, really expensive stretch, even prior to all the football stuff that's happened in the last 3 months, meaning Brian Kelly's $54 million buyout, a $91 million commitment to Lane Kiffin, his coaching staff, support staff, and then you did what you did in the transfer portal. Like, if you buy out Matt McMahon and his staff, it's going to cost just under $11 million. I believe the exact number is around $10.8 million to buy out the entire staff. And I know there's not a strong appetite to add another $11 million in, to use an NFL term, dead money to the balance sheet, paying people not to work. And I think, it's a conversation we had earlier this week with Gordon when we were over at Gordon McKernan's office. And it's to say, do you want to spend that money? Do you want to commit that money to pay someone not to work? And then the other part of that conversation is, can you afford not to? So as to say, football is your biggest driver. Everybody knows that. The only other sport that makes money is men's basketball. So if you're making $2 million with a program that's not competitive, what could you make if you were competitive? The estimates that I've heard, been told, are probably in the neighborhood of $4 to $6 million in addition to what you're making. So look at it maybe like a $6 to $8 million profit center for men's basketball. Now, when you're talking about a $200 million athletic department, does making an extra $4 to $6 million a year really influence you? Sure. I mean, everything helps. But this is going to be, more than anything, a financially driven decision. And you're going to continue to see and hear people with that point of view as it relates to what decision they might make with Matt McMahon. Now, I know everyone's having the Will Wade conversation, and we talked about it here. When the governor made a change with the chairman of the Board of Supervisors in putting Lee Mallett in that role, said it, Governor Lee Mallett last year tried to put together a plan that was going to get Will Wade from McNeese back to LSU. Obviously, that didn't happen. It was one of the big things that the governor and Lee Mallett and Scott Woodward butted heads on. And maybe they want to try to run that back. It wouldn't surprise me. Of course, that's what they're going to try to do. I don't know if Will Wade would leave NC State. I have no idea. But obviously now the university president in place is the guy that hired Will Wade at McNeese. So there's a lot of things that line up there, and they could take their swing. I don't know if it'll work, but I'm going to tell you that might be the one thing that would bring sort of a unanimous opinion about LSU basketball here locally, meaning among the LSU fan base, administrators, boosters, everything, as if they could make that happen. But I'm going to tell you, man, if it's not Will Wade, I just feel more and more like every conversation I have with anybody associated with this thing, it feels like they'll run it back with Matt McMahon. Again, no decision's been made, but you see the corporate entity that gives more money to LSU than anyone else, and the head of that entity supporting retaining Matt McMahon for another year. It tells you a lot about where they are financially in this athletic department right now. So it's something we'll follow. But the Tigers beat Ole Miss in double overtime, and for nothing else, it was nice to watch the Ole Miss people squirm a little bit. See Lane Kiffin get up there on social media and be able to retweet that final score, spot the ball, and all that jazz. Basketball Tigers, 3 more regular season games to go. All right, it's After Further Review. Thursday shows are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. Show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. Hey, look, we got the Bud Light hat here, if you're watching with us. The Bud Light purple and gold hat with the national champion logo on it as well. Delandra may steal that when the show's over. Might. Maybe. It's kind of sweet. It's kind of sweet, isn't it? Whether you're wearing the hat or you're drinking the beer, make sure you're drinking easy with the great taste of Bud Light. The official beer of AFR, the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. If you're going to be at the box, if you're going to be at the PMAC, maybe today for the LSU women's basketball game against Tennessee, 5 o'clock tip, make sure you got plenty of delicious ice-cold Bud Light, the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. All right, y'all, we're here today at Marucci's Hitter's House on Segan. Y'all come hang out. Normally, we're out here slinging hats. Today, arm sleeves. Not the Man of God arm sleeve, but this is a close consolation prize. Lots of different sizes, so you want an arm sleeve, come on in with your kiddos. Man, we'll sling some arm sleeves today in all kind of different sizes. Just walk on in if you're hearing us. We got plenty of different designs and sizes to choose from, so y'all come hang out with us here at Marucci's Hitter's House. Jump in the cages, take some swings, shop the merch. Great spot right here on Segan near Airline in Baton Rouge. Okay, it's After Further Review. Kendall Rogers is going to jump aboard with us bottom of this hour, so we'll come back and we'll go around the SEC. A ton to do, and glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
REV. Let's Rev. Let'sRev.com. 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 Last Friday, we had David and the crew from Rev over at our house, changing everything out, moving from our old provider to our new provider because we got fiber now in our neighborhood from Rev. Of course, fiber means you don't have to worry about the power going out. You don't have to worry about a storm coming, knocking down power lines and knocking your power and your internet out. Those lines are buried under the ground, so you're going to be unaffected by stormy weather. So we'll always have lightning fast speeds, up to 5 gigs, all fiber network, local support, and the price is the price with Rev. It's not one of those things where they have an introductory price where they get you in cheap and then they raise the price. The price is the price at Rev. So 70,000 Louisiana homeowners and business owners trust Rev. We do. You should as well. Log on today to learn more at letsrev.com. REV, letsrev.com.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Cincinnati is suing former quarterback Brendan Sorsby for breach of contract. They're seeking $1 million buyout after he transferred to Texas Tech. That's documents obtained by The Athletic. So we all know the deal here. Sorsby was quarterback at Cincinnati, went into the portal. He took several visits, ultimately signed with Texas Tech, visited LSU as well. But Texas Tech is saying, Cincinnati's claiming Sorsby broke his rev share agreement with the school and that he owes the university money under the conditions of that deal. So I don't think this is surprising. I don't know what will happen here. My guess is Texas Tech will pay the $1 million for him. Not that dissimilar at all from a Duke suing Darian Mensah when he left for Miami and paying the balance of that deal, $4 million, whatever it was. This is what happened with Damon Williams, right? I mean, Damon Williams was at the University of Washington, had signed his deal to return, looked like he was going in the portal with a probable destination in Baton Rouge and ultimately stayed because the Big Ten and University of Washington had really well-written contracts that meant it was going to cost about $4 million for DeMond Williams to get out of that rev share deal. So in any event, Sorsby was a massive part of this portal class. Texas Tech was a playoff team this year with Baron Morton under center. He's out of eligibility. So Texas Tech went and got Sorsby, one of the top players and quarterbacks in the transfer portal, but they're going to pay for it. I think this is my big takeaway from this, and I don't know how this will go. My guess is, just a guess, I don't know. My guess is, based on what we saw with Darian Mensah, that Cincinnati will recover damages here. I don't think Cincinnati is trying to get Sorsby to return. Like I think that ship has sailed. But I think they're trying to recover damages from the contract. So if you can get $1 million from the guy's new school, you're going to do it. If contractually you're owed that money, they're going to try to go get that money. It's what Duke did with Mensah. What I think is going to start happening is you're going to see more schools write meatier contracts. They'll get their legal teams hammering away to do rev share deals with buyouts similar to what you saw for DeMond Williams, which is really going to do two things. Number one, it's going to disincentivize players from leaving. Like if you sign your deal, you're locked in because that money is going to be far too robust for you to exit. That's one. Two, the other side is if they do, you're going to be able to recover from it financially, like we saw with DeMond Williams, Darian Mensah, and here with Brendan Sorsby. So Cincinnati trying to recover $1 million from Sorsby. He won't pay it. Some rich guy at Texas Tech will pay it for him, no doubt. But the other part of that, too, is what if that is money, that $1 million, right? That $1 million that Cincinnati may recover from Texas Tech. What if that's $1 million coming out of Texas Tech's rev share? And I don't know that that's the case. So where these funds are paid from is also interesting because remember, you have a finite amount of money to spend in revenue share. It's the $20.5 million divided among all your programs. Well, if roughly $15 million of that's going to football and $1 million of that is going to buy out a contract of another player, not actually going to your pot to build this roster, well, now you are weakening your spending ability for the roster. So the contract component of this is, I find it fascinating. I'm not sure everyone does. I think most people would rather just go ostrich effect, bury your head in the sand, and pop up whenever LSU and Clemson kick it off in September. And if that's what you do and are that respect, I totally get it. But for those that are interested, how these contracts are written moving forward, I think is going to be fascinating for both reasons. Can you prevent guys from actually leaving, number one? And if they do leave, will you have financial protection? So Brendan Sorsby being sued by Cincinnati for a buyout, for breach of his NIL contract or his rev share contract. All right, it is After Further Review. We're here at Murphy's Hitter's House. Thursday shows presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. It's not just healthcare. It's healthcare for your lifestyle, and not just in Baton Rouge. They're all over the state of Louisiana and now in Dallas as well. So if it's bringing home a new baby, if it's end-of-life care, maybe you've gotten a difficult diagnosis, maybe it's cancer, maybe you're bringing a loved one home on hospice care. Maybe it's just something simple like an IV hydration therapy or therapeutic phlebotomy, blood draws, blood labs. The nurses at Decision Critical can help do whatever's convenient for you. DecisionCriticalBR.com, DecisionCriticalBR.com. All right, y'all, a little early because we're going to have Kendall Rogers coming up here in 7 minutes from right now, but we'll let Muse handle it. Here we go, around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Texas Longhorns.
Heather Dinich reporting that Arch Manning is out of his walking boot after an off-season surgery. You might recall, near the end of January, Arch underwent a minor foot surgery to repair what was, quote, a previous injury, and it was just a preventative maintenance per the Texas football program. She spoke with Steve Sarkisian, she being Heather Dinich, earlier today to confirm the news. Sarkisian also told Dinich that Manning will be limited in spring practice, especially early on, but no concern long term. He should be back for the summer and good to go as well come fall practice.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn baseball is expected to get a big boost this weekend with All-American Chris Rimbert set to return for the first time since opening weekend. It was an ankle injury that kept him out the last couple of weeks. Limited role per Butch Thompson, but will be back. Could maybe be in the DH role, maybe a little at second base, but limited role. Big boost is said. True freshman season last year, hit 344 with 10 homers and 46 RBI.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Some positive injury news for Kentucky baseball as well. Nick Migione on a radio interview Wednesday night gave an update to star shortstop Tyler Bell. Remember, he injured his left shoulder on opening day and has been out ever since. The Wildcats were in kind of a holding pattern there, but now the preseason All-American has resumed baseball activities, and a return to the lineup could be right around the corner per his head coach. Of course, Bell has been mocked as high as a top 15 pick in this summer's draft.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
And a quick injury update for Tennessee baseball as well. They could be close to getting one of their most highly touted freshman pitchers back. That's Will Haas. He underwent Tommy John surgery. His senior season of high school, missed all of the fall with the Vols, but did pitch in Tennessee's situational scrimmage on Wednesday. Josh Elander confirming that and saying that he's expected to pitch this season for Tennessee and could debut before SEC play. He was the number one prospect out of Minnesota in the 2025 class. That is around the SEC.
Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, arco.com, industrial Generac generator power. We all know about home standby generators. That's not this. You're talking about Generac, but you're talking about industrial power. This is a Generac industrial generator for your business, your commercial facility, your industrial facility. It doesn't matter if it's a chemical plant or a hospital, a grocery store, a school, gas station, Marucci Hitter's House, Guarantee Media, whatever your commercial or industrial facility is, power goes out, what do? Can't afford to be offline? Boom, you need Arco, ARCCO. They're actually just down the street from where we are, just north on Airline Highway from where we are right now at Arco Power Systems, and always online at ARCCO. Everything's turnkey. Sell, service, install, rent those Generac industrial generators at Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, arco.com, arco.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here from Marucci's Hitter's House. Kendall Rogers will jump aboard in just a few minutes here. We'll preview the weekend ahead in the SEC and across college baseball. And there is potentially change coming to college football's targeting rule. This is something we've talked about quite a bit over the decade or so that this rule's been in place. I've said it so many times. The intent of the rule is good. I think everyone is okay with trying to eliminate dangerous plays from football, but it is far too punitive. It needs to be tweaked, and they might be getting close to testing that. We're going to get you that coming up here in a little more than 15 minutes. Let me knock out a break, come back. We'll talk a little college baseball with Kendall Rogers from D1 Baseball. That's next here on AFR.
After Further Review.
AFR is brought to you by our friends over at Glow Resources, glowresources.com, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. They are complete employer solutions at Glow Resources. Hey, look, the bottom line is if you need your business to be the most efficient it could possibly be, and who doesn't? We all want to make sure that as a business owner or a hiring manager, an HR manager, an ops manager, if your job is operating a functional business to maximize productivity and profitability, you have to have the right people, period. Got to have the right people. Well, how do you find the right people? Well, that's Glow Resources. So check them out online at glowresources.com, GLO, glowresources.com. Over the course of a given year, Glow Resources interviews 15,000 people, and not once have they ever had a negative review on one of their interviews. They're professional, they're experts, they'll find the right people for your business to make you the most profitable you can be. GLO, glowresources.com.
After Further Review with Matt McMahon, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Glad you're with us here from Marucci's Hitter's House on Segan in Baton Rouge. Come swing on by, man. Take some hacks in the cage. Beautiful day right here on Segan near Airline. You can't miss it. The big LouisianaSports.net 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge truck is out front. Tons of awesome merch as well. Marucci, Victus, Lizard Skins. Come on by. Hang out with us here at Marucci's Hitter's House. Jay Johnson met with reporters earlier in the day. We'll let you hear some of what Jay had to say. The good news, overwhelmingly, is that Cade Arambidi is good to go after injuring his foot. A little bit of a scare on Tuesday night in that loss to McNeese. But Kendall Rogers is good enough to hang out with us here for a couple of minutes, as he does every Thursday. Yo, man, how are you?
How's it going?
Good, man. We appreciate the time, as always.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you for a second.
Nope, you got me now?
You're good.
Good. Yeah, sorry, we're on remote. I don't know what was going on, but glad to have you here, man. We appreciate it. Hey, if I could, I know there's it's an inevitability, right? You're going to lose midweek games. You have the conversation every year, but it wasn't just LSU. It was kind of a wacky Tuesday around the SEC and around college baseball. Anything that maybe you have as a takeaway from Tuesday, be it LSU or otherwise, with some of those midweek losses?
Yeah, I just think that's kind of the nature of college baseball now, Matt. I mean, if you look at these teams around the country, and we've kind of talked about this over the last couple of years, but, as you have roster limits, you have the transfer portal, these mid-majors are just going to continue to get better and better. So, if you show up for a midweek game and you're not ready to play, you can lose. And so, whether it's UCLA or LSU, it was kind of a wacky midweek. But, I would say there's always maybe 2 or 3 of those days a year where it's just total pandemonium in terms of the top 25 teams in the midweek. So, I guess my takeaway is, unless it becomes a trend, I'm not very worried about it.
Want to get a quick thought from you before we look ahead. I want to look back very quickly because obviously you all had the tournament down in Jacksonville this past weekend where the Tigers swept. What maybe what struck you most from the weekend in Jacksonville for LSU?
Yeah, the thing I love about this team is just the offensive capability. And what I mean by that, and obviously we want the pitching staff to be better as a whole for LSU. There's no doubt about that. That was a little bit of an issue at times over the weekend. But the thing I love about this team is I have zero doubt the pitching staff will be fine, especially as we get in SEC play and certainly later in the season. We kind of saw it last year. I felt like, yes, these pitching staff just got better and better as the season progressed. But I think when you look at this team overall, the fact that they kind of needed the offense in a couple of those games to go wild in the middle to late innings just kind of tells me that, man, if LSU pitches well this year, I mean, they're going to win a lot of games, and they're going to win a lot of games by a lot of runs. So I thought my biggest takeaway was when the pitching wasn't the best, the offense literally had no issue picking up the slack, and that's a bonus for Jay Johnson and company.
We know anything about Northeastern or Dartmouth coming into the box this weekend?
Yeah, this is a big weekend for Northeastern. I mean, if you kind of look back at just Mike Glavin's program over the last couple of years, I mean, they've been a pretty consistent, postseason mainstay. But, this year they're off to a little bit of a slow start. Those Northern teams, it's really odd. It's like they're either really good to start or they're really bad. They've really struggled on the mound. I don't know if I want to face LSU when these are the amount of runs you've given up in games, 10, 7, 21, 12, 15. Not good. So, Harrison Feinberg is a guy to watch for Northeastern. He's kind of one of those guys offensively. If he gets them going a little bit offensively, they can get on a roll. But otherwise, they're going to have to pitch a lot better to really stress LSU. I think this is going to be a pretty calm weekend for LSU, which I think Jay Johnson will be okay with how some of those games went last weekend.
Kendall, I would say the opposite will be true for what's going to happen in some of these round-robin weekend tournaments. Which one do you want to start with?
Yeah, I'll start in Houston, where I'm going to be at the Breeze Bowl Classic. Coastal Carolina is obviously a team I'm watching this weekend. Unfortunately, I don't know if you saw the news I had a couple of days ago or yesterday, but Cam Fluke, the top prospect in college baseball as a pitcher, is out for at least 8 weeks with a rib injury. Hayden Johnson, their number 2, is out for 8 weeks with an elbow injury. So, I mean, you take, the top 2 starters away from a Sun Belt team who's supposed to be really good. I mean, they got tough sledding this weekend against Texas Ole Miss. So that's going to be intriguing. Then Globe Life, Mississippi State and A&M is top of mind for me. Mississippi State off to an unblemished start. Ace Reese has been awesome, hitting well over 500 with big-time power. He was kind of one of those guys along with Derek Curiel that was kind of on my short list for National Play of the Year coming into the season. But Mississippi State really has not played anyone on the weekend. I'm kind of curious to see how they do this weekend. And then A&M well documented last year the Aggies struggles. They've gotten off to a really nice start in Cade Terrell kind of leading the way offensively for them. But again, they haven't played the best competition yet. How do they look against UCLA, Arizona State, and what I think is a pretty good Virginia Tech team? So that is what is kind of top of mind for me from a round-robin tournament perspective.
Speaking of UCLA, of course, on Friday, they're going to play Tennessee. And notably, Tennessee lost a series to Kent State. And a lot of people now are looking. And Kendall, I don't know. Do you see the parallels with what happened at A&M a year ago when Jim Schlossnagle left, with what's happening now with Elander there in Knoxville with Tony V gone?
Not yet. I mean, I think if you look back at that series, I think you guys as LSU fans kind of saw Kent State, on that Monday. I mean, they're a pretty good team. I'm not saying they're going to be a top 16 seed or even a 2 seed in the regional, but that is an at-large big kind of club. And so the fact that they lost that series was tough. I didn't think they played great defense in the series finale, but I ultimately think they'll be fine overall. I will say this. I think it's a little unfair for Josh Elander, but I do feel like if Tennessee struggles this weekend against what won't be easy competition, I think you'll start to hear people kind of chatter a little bit in Knoxville. I think they do need to play well this weekend. If they lose 2 and play poorly, I think that the people can kind of get restless in Knoxville. We know Tennessee fans are not patient, but if they don't play, if they play well and they still lose 2 games, then I think kind of the narrative is maybe a little different. But there's no doubt, I do think it's an important weekend for Josh and that coaching staff.
At what point would you begin to wonder or worry about Tennessee?
I think if they play bad this weekend and then start SEC play a little slow, I'm very worried about them. Because I think what happens is, and again, I do think Tennessee baseball's in a different spot now. They've got a premier facility they just finished up. I think the kids kind of view that baseball brand as cool. But I think kids view that baseball brand as cool with Tony Vitello. So it's Josh Elander's job to kind of take that torch from Tony and continue to make that the one of the cool places to be in college baseball. So I think if they lose a few games, early in non-conference, start to struggle a little bit in the beginning of conference, then the Tennessee start to lose a little bit of that luster. We'll find out. I don't think they're in some spot where they can afford to lose games and they'll still be in a super popular option.
They open up SEC play at Georgia, then Missouri, then they're at Vanderbilt, and then LSU. I mean, it could be it could be a struggle out the gate in conference play, and you're right. I think.
Yeah, I mean, you got LSU. Yeah, I mean, you got LSU, you got Vanderbilt, who has 25 home runs on the season already. So you don't think Vanderbilt would love to throw the first haymaker at Josh Elander and his coaching staff?
And by the way,
that's a tough start.
After LSU, then they go to Starkville. I mean, the first half of conference play for Tennessee on paper, except for the Missouri series, which is at home, that's a brutal start to conference play.
Yeah.
So,
welcome to a head coaching job in SEC, Josh.
Right. Amen to that. Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball at Kendall Rogers. Give me something else this weekend aside from the marquee round robin tournaments that you're keeping an eye on that we should as well.
Yeah, Florida versus Miami. Miami has not taken a series from the Gators in Coral Gables since 2014. Miami, Matt, is averaging 15.5 runs a game. Granted, they're still playing some teams here and there that you could probably put together a team and beat. But still, 15.5 home runs or 15.5 runs a game, pretty good. Derek Williams, kind of the big name to watch for them. He's hitting over 570 for Miami so far. Florida, the big storyline for me, and frankly, this will be the big storyline. You'll hear this a lot this year. This is the big storyline for them the entire season is right-handed pitcher Liam Peterson, one of the top prospects for the draft this summer. Had a really bad first start against UAB. That was their only loss of the season. Last weekend against Kennesaw State, struck out 12 and 5 1/3. If he pitches like that, I think Florida wins the series. If he goes back to what he was opening weekend, I like Miami in the series. So I think this is going to be really interesting. And certainly Miami fans will absolutely let Kevin O'Sullivan know about some of the off-the-field stuff that occurred in the fall.
He's on Twitter at Kendall Rogers, D1Baseball.com, D1Baseball.com. College baseball season is here. Time to get on over and get subscribed at D1Baseball.com. We always appreciate it, man. We'll do it again next Thursday. Thank you.
You got it, brother. Be good, man. See ya.
Be well. It is After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020. You want to see 2020, call 924-2020. I always encourage you to get that consultation. It starts there. It's free. It's quick. You can do it remotely. You could do it while driving in your car. You could do it over video chat. You can go in the office if you want, but have that consultation first to see what options they have, what might be the best option for you, and then you go meet Dr. Blake Williamson and start that process toward refractive surgery, which you could throw those contacts and glasses away forever. It's the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, or online at williamsoneye.com. That's Williamson, EYE.com. All right, y'all, we're here at Marucci's Hitter's House. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. We do have, as we mentioned, a lot of these arm sleeves, totally free. Come on in while they last. Come on in. You want to get one of the arm sleeves for you, for your son, daughter, all different sizes, cool designs. They're very great here at Marucci. Whenever we come in, they give us swag to give away to our listeners and supporters who come in. So if you're driving down Seguin, pull on in here to Marucci Hitter's House. We love to see you and say hello. All right, it's After Further Review. A busy 4 o'clock hour is coming ahead. We'll start in about 20 minutes from now, letting you hear a bit from Jay Johnson, who did update Kate Aaron Beatty, kind of gave you a series preview. We'll get to that shortly. John Tulte in about 30 minutes from now as well, formerly of AL.com, now with CBS Sports. Talk to John some college football stuff here in about 30 minutes from right now. Let me knock out a quick break, okay? Also next hour, I'm going to talk about Will Clapp retiring from the NFL. That happened on late on Wednesday night. So when we come back, want to talk about potential update to the targeting rule. I think this is something that we're all roundly going to celebrate if, in fact, it happens. Will it happen? We'll talk about it next here and what they're proposing. It's AFR.
After Further Review.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. So many ways that Gordon and his staff and his team give back to the people of Louisiana. Yes, of course, if you've been injured, say it all the time. No matter where you are in the state of Louisiana, Gordon and his team will help. There's offices all over the state. You've been injured. The last thing you want to do is travel, so don't. Just call 888-8888, 888-8888, and set up a consultation with Gordon and his great staff at any of their offices across Louisiana. 888-8888, or go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. But, of course, all the philanthropic ways that Gordon gives back. I've told you, go MC the Down Syndrome Awareness Group Buddy Walk every year. Gordon's got a sponsor tent there. Go out to Miracle League, where Drew plays, in that special needs baseball league. Gordon's a field sponsor there as well. So many ways that Gordon gives back. So get Gordon and get it done.
After Further Review with Matt McMahon, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
We're here at Marucci Hitter's House on Seguin in Baton Rouge. In 2014, college football implemented a 4-team playoff. And you know that. That's not breaking news. It's literally a dozen years old. But it was a monumental step in college football. Because forever, for a century, there were bowl games. And champions in college football were determined based on something that didn't happen on the field. It was arbitrary. You didn't have a system to play for a championship. It's the only sport in the history of mankind, as I often say, where you could win every game you play, not have a chance to win a championship. Well, a 4-team playoff solved some of that. Certainly not all of it. We saw Florida State a few years ago go undefeated, not get in a 4-team playoff. But the 4-team playoff was a necessary open door to the possibility of more. Meaning, once they went to 4, it was always an inevitability that they were going to go beyond 4. How long it would take to get there, didn't know. But when they first said, okay, we're open to this and we're going to do this, they were going to taste what it was like on that side. The revenue, which obviously was going to grow. the fact that it didn't ruin the regular season and people still came to games and people watched the playoff and all the things that happened, right? If it didn't kill college football. If anything, it made it stronger, more appealing to more teams and more fan bases and more lucrative and more. And as spending continued to escalate, revenues needed to go up. They said, where can we get more revenue? I know, let's expand the playoff. And here we are at 12. And 12 is going to be 16 or 24, whatever it's going to be, right? Because now we're in the rev share era where you need even more revenue. Well, where can you get revenue? Go to the cash cow, college football. So they're going to keep expanding. And this isn't a segment about the college football playoff, despite how I've started. It's just an illustration to say, once you show your willingness to change, that evolution is going to come and continue to grow. Look at what's happened in the NCAA men's tournament. There were people who have been opposed to every expansion of the men's tournament. They're now at 68, and they're going to go to 72 or whatever the number is going to be. All that to say, the NCAA Rules Subcommittee has proposed a 1-year trial rule to modify targeting penalties in college football. Now, before you start doing backflips, this ain't what you think it is. Now, I am very much in favor of keeping the targeting rule in place, but eliminating the disqualification. There has to be a targeting 1 and a targeting 2. That's what I want to see. I want to see, just like we have flagrant fouls, a flagrant 1, a flagrant 2, like you have a red card and a yellow card in soccer. There are varying degrees of severity, and those are things that can be determined on review and should be determined on review. We got to get rid of the disqualification in football from plays that are incidental and by definition not dangerous, but by definition meet the criteria of targeting. We've all seen them, right? Runner starts to crouch, lowers its head, then there's incidental contact from a defender who's trying to go low into the target zone. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So here's what's being proposed. Players that are disqualified for targeting for the first time during the season will be allowed to play in their next game, regardless of which half the penalty occurs. So the DQ is still there. Effectively to say, if you commit a targeting penalty in the first half, nothing changes. You're still out the rest of the game. But if you commit a targeting penalty in the second half, you do not have to sit out the first half of the next game. That's after your first one. After your second, you would have to sit out the second half. Third, you'd have to sit out the next game in full. Again, this isn't what you or I or anyone wants. I think we all, to some degree, want what I said prior, which is let's have a targeting 1, a targeting 2, and when you have incidental contact, stop kicking kids out of the game. You can still throw a penalty, like a face mask. There are very malicious face masks. And then there's incidental face masks. Both of them are 15 yards. It's a face mask. So you can keep the 15-yard penalty. You got to stop throwing players out of the game for incidental contact. It's not going to happen with this proposal. But this proposal is the equivalent of what I talked about a minute ago of the 4-team playoff. It's the open door to the eventuality of what we want to see, which is you get rid of the disqualification for targeting. I mean, there are penalties in the NFL for unnecessary roughness, for, those types of dangerous hits to the head and neck area. And I'm okay with that because we can all also agree with the spirit of the rule like we always have, which is you want to get dangerous plays out of football. You can't legislate violence completely out of football. It is a collision sport. But where you can affect change to get rid of dangerous plays, I think we all want to see that happen when possible. But you can't kick players out of the game for incidental contact that should never rise to that level. And that's where we have to get. We will get there. And this is a pretty good indication if this Rules Subcommittee does approve this proposal of the 1-year trial to modify targeting penalties. Because if they put this in, you're going to see the world's not going to end. It's going to be okay. It's going to be well received. And then you'll be able to build on it from there, which is the eventuality I think we all want to see. All right, it's after further review. We're here at Marucci's Hitter's House today, and we're brought to you by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing, title sponsor of our Thursday shows all throughout the year. Hey, if you haven't done it yet, make sure you get to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Sign up to win $25,000 cash money. No joke, no gimmick, nothing of the sort. Somebody is going to win $25,000 cash. Could be you. All you have to do, sign up for a free, no-obligation roofing inspection. It's that simple. And maybe you have roof damage and you need a repair. Great, we'd love to help you. Maybe you need a full roof replacement. Great, we'd love to help you. We could work with you, your insurance company, the whole deal. Maybe your roof looks great and you don't have any damage, don't need anything. You're still entered to win $25,000, and you get a comprehensive inspection for your file. So if the storm does come, you can cross-reference that with your insurance company for whatever damage may come in the future. So you can say, nope, this is what my roof looked like on this date. Here's what it looks like now. It's a track to that storm. Anyway, bottom line is, go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Do business with someone you know, Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com. All right, it is after further review, y'all. SportsCenter's coming up. Let me get you caught up on national headlines. A lot to do. Jay Johnson getting LSU set for the weekend series. We'll get to that. John Tolte coming up next hour as well. Will Clapp retires? Will the Saints pick up Brian Brzez's fifth-year option? Ton to do. It's AFR.
AFR.
Hoo boy, y'all. Tomorrow, Friday in Lent. We're all adjusting to it. If you're a Catholic, practicing, you're abstaining from meat on Fridays, remember, Rouse's is a great option. They got the hot seafood bar every day, but especially important on Fridays. Fridays during Lent. Pop on in, super easy, okay? Walk up to the hot and boiled bar. You can grab and go. You can make your plate. We're talking catfish and whatever type of seafood balls that you're looking for, and boiled crawfish every day of the week, boiled in-house in all their boiling rooms. You got 76 Rouse's locations. Every one of them has a boiling room in-house. So get on by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Remember, all that crawfish is bagged and tagged. Just grab and go. Rouses.com, Rouses.com. Rouses, this feels like home.